Story tonight, the money trail. If the reports are true, millions of dollars have changed hands in the Mr. Story. The question, where did the money come from? Joining us now from Washington, Cleta Mitchell, a campaign finance and election law attorney. If the money came from John Edwards himself, who is a very wealthy man, he can give money to anybody he wants to, but he has to report it to the IRS, gifts over $10,000. Right now, according to reports on CNN and in other places, we're talking anywhere from $3 to $8 million changing hands in real estate and payments to two people, the mistress and a guy named Young who worked with Edwards in his campaign. So if Edwards didn't use his own money, then he's in violation of the law?
Well, remember this, Bill. Whenever a person becomes a federal candidate, whether it's for president or Congress, that person and that candidacy becomes subject to a lot of federal laws. Every dime that is spent to promote that candidate, to protect that candidate, to promote or protect that candidacy, all of that is subject to federal law. And all of these people, the person who supposedly came up with the money was Edwards' national campaign finance director.
Yeah, that's a guy named Fred Barron, a Dallas lawyer, chairman of the Edwards Campaign Finance Committee. He came up with the money to relocate Young and the mistress from North Carolina to Santa Barbara, California area, buying them two homes, one where the mistress and the baby live, the other where Young lives. Now, what I don't get about this is why Young would get a house out of it. Young doesn't have a job. He's living in a multi-million-dollar house, so nobody knows why. We understand the mistress and the baby. Okay, you got to get rid of them. You got to get them out of North Carolina. You got to set them up. But the other guy, you set him up in a multi-million-dollar home, and you go, why? What is that all about? But if Barron himself says, look, I used my money, Fred Barron's money, all he has to do is account to the IRS for that money, correct?
No, that's not true. Because remember, at the time that these payments were made, John Edwards was a federal candidate. Fred Barron was his finance director. These payments involved two campaign employees, and presumably all of this was done to protect John Edwards and his candidacy from public disclosure. Now that means that all of these payments were campaign related, and all of that is subject to limits, it's subject to disclosure, and it's subject to criminal and civil penalties under the federal law if the laws were broken.
So the FBI should be stepping in and checking this out right now, I guess.
I absolutely believe that there should be a federal investigation by the Federal Election Commission as well as the Department of Justice, because there is a statutory provision that was contained in McCain-Feingold that says that any willful and knowing disregard of the federal campaign finance laws in an amount exceeding $25,000, and we know that the amounts here are well over $25,000.
Yeah, between $3 and $8 million is what we know, or what has been alleged.
What's been reported.
Right.
And this legal provision says that any knowing and willful disregard of the federal campaign finance laws in excess of $25,000 is subject to criminal penalties, and a person who is found guilty of those provisions is subject to the federal uniform sentencing guidelines. So this is not child's play.
Well, we think the FBI has got to get involved and sort it out. I mean, it has to happen. It absolutely has to happen.
That's the only way. That's the only way to trace the payments.
We'll put in a call to the Justice Department and find out what they're going to do, and we'll report tomorrow. Cleta, thanks very much. It's always good to see you.